What's going on, everybody out there? It's your boy Demarcus back with it again, and this is episode 5 of the life of a multifacet. And for today's episode, I'm going to shift it a little bit from multifacets. As I previously told you all, while this is called the life of a multifacet, it's not necessarily going to be geared towards me just talking about the different multifacets and things that I have. Always about being a multifaceted individual, but the goal is to also give you life perspectives and just talk about things that I've experienced because I am a multifaceted, but this is the life of a multifaceted. So I'm hoping that I can help people that may be going through specific situations. Again, give people access to a platform where they can relate to someone. Overall, just being able to share different life perspectives and situations that you may be experiencing. And so for this episode specifically, I want to talk to my folks that are in your 20s, late 20s, like myself. This could even be for people in their 30s that are still trying to figure it out. This really could be for anybody at any age, but more so people that are trying to find purpose, and trying to think about what they've done during their life so far that can make them happy and for them to feel appreciated. See, when it comes to finding your purpose, I can't say that I fully found that one thing because I don't think it'll be that one thing. But I have found different areas in my life that I'm still nurturing and have realized, you know what? These could be areas that really help people. And these are areas which people have reached out to me and they have found value in the things that I'm saying, right? And a lot of times we feel as if purpose has to be from a global perspective. We feel that it has to be broadcasted through social media and where we have a lot of followers. We feel as if it has to be something where we're publicly on entertainment platforms are generating a ton of money. But we often forget that our lives and the things that we do before we even get to these platforms are what truly makes us, and also too what can break us. And I think that from what I've seen, not too many people on these bigger platforms are able to share. I can't say not too many people, but a lot of times when I'm having conversations with people, in general, there's a good amount of people that I know could share a lot of dope things about their life, could share a lot of dope perspectives, a lot of dope life experiences, and things that would really help a lot of people out here. But a lot of people shy away from that. Why? Because they don't want to get into the details. I understand some things can be traumatic, especially if it's something that you haven't been able to experience during therapy, or you may have not even had time to process it or speak to someone about that. So we do have to give grace for those individuals that are in that particular space. Now, for the people that are trying to break out of that, or you may be trying to figure out, you know, who could I actually reach out to? I'll challenge you just to put the information out there because you never know based on something you might think that is simple, how much of that can help a lot of people that are also looking for simple answers. Not everyone is looking for something that's complex. I would really argue that the average person really isn't looking for a complex solution. Most people are looking for something simple that can help them to be able to get through certain aspects, certain seasons, certain processes, or whatever you want to say in their life. And so you never know by just being who you are, as I love to always say, that authenticity and integrity, how much of that could actually help someone that needs it. And so in doing that, part of this conversation is to highlight yourself and to really be thankful for the things that you've experienced and to really put yourself on a pedestal. Like I want you all to take time to think, for my folks that are in your 20s or in your 30s, think about all the things that you've been able to accomplish since you were 18 years old. Like when you first were able to, say that you were an adult, be able to get your license. Some people may have got their license and stuff earlier, but I feel like 18 is that step of when you're out of high school, you're either going into college, you may be focusing on a trade or entrepreneurship. So you're really at that first stage of true adulthood. Some people it may have been earlier because of their life circumstances in ways in which they've had to support their family, but for the average person, we're going to say 18 years old. And when you think over that span of years, look at all the dope things that you've been able to accomplish and the spaces in which you're able to now being because of the time that you took for yourself. I'm someone that when I was growing up, because I grew up as an only child, I felt behind in a lot of areas. Now, when it came to sports and it came to academics and things like that, those were areas that I was really good in. And those are areas where I could relate to people like in a lot of realms, right? But even when it came to sports, there were a lot of times where I felt as if I was someone that didn't have certain abilities. I felt, as far as my frame, I was a bit smaller. And even at the time, I didn't even truly know how to work hard. So I was kind of basing it off of things that I saw or based on like kind of a mentality that I was trying to force myself into. When I look at my mentality now, I'm like, if I would have had that when I was younger, there's no telling like where I could be at, right? But that's the part of you maturing and growing and being okay with where you are because when you're someone that has to take that time because of things that you've experienced and you're able to finally get to a point to where you appreciate that, you're going to be very, very happy because with some of these mentalities and things, it takes people a long time to actually get to a point where they can be proud of the person that they are. And I'm saying that to say, like when I was younger, and it came to social settings and it came to certain conversations, like there was a lot of things in which I didn't understand. All I understood was, hey, I can, playing sports with my friends. I know how to have a good time when it comes to like extracurricular bit. I'm going to school, but I don't really know certain terminologies when it comes to women or girls at the time. I'm not even understanding like any lingo that's going on. I'm over here trying to talk to girls and I'm feeling embarrassed whenever certain situations are happening. There's just a lot that I'm missing out on that a lot of my friends were able to understand because they either had older siblings or the parents that they had or guardians were allowing them to participate in a lot of these. I would say I won't say adult like experiences, but experiences where they can kind of grow up a bit faster. And so for myself, there were a lot of times where I felt out of place. And I remember when I first started talking to my dad, like really in depth. It was probably like my junior year of high school. And I still didn't really understand like what I was going to him for. And I really didn't want to go to my parents for a lot because I'm thinking that at a young age, this is going to be embarrassing for me to be able to have to ask my parents about certain life perspectives and their experiences because now I'm going to feel that I'm only going to be able to talk to my friends based on what my parents told me. I remember one time, I think it was maybe like sixth grade, was the first time I ever went to my dad. And I said, "Hey, Dad, what is a condom?" And I did this because when I was at the lunch table, all the kids was talking about like sex, they talking about condoms and everything, and I didn't even know what that was. And I remember when a couple of friends was like, "DeMarcus, you know what a condom is?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know what it is." And then I was trying to play it off as, "You don't know what a condom." And then I was getting clowned the whole time. And that's also when I got introduced just to other terminologies and things like that, right? But I remember going back to my dad and feeling so embarrassed. And that was the only question I probably really asked him on that type of level until I got to like my junior, senior year in high school. And during that period of middle school up into high school, especially with the type of middle school that I went to at first, kids we were just getting exposed to things at such an early age because even though I came from like a white town, where the black kids went to was the inner city of Madison Middle. And so during that time, you have kid where kids are smoking weed, kids are having sex early. You're having, especially at a younger age, the way that girls and things are women, the way that girls are built. You're like, there's just a lot of things that are in your face. The way that, when it comes to fighting and things like that, there's so many experiences that you're going through as a kid. And you're talking about a kid that is not really, I would say, around that all the time. Maybe outside of like, maybe at times when I'm playing basketball and playing football, I was so lost because when I was around these particular things, I'm like, well, how do my friends know about this? How are they hanging out with girls, messing around with girls, and how are they smoking weed and stuff like that? And I'm like, how am I not seeing this when I'm around them? But I had to understand that like, there's no way that they're going to be able to showcase these things in the presence of me because my parents were pretty strict, right? My parents weren't having that, and not until I realized later, like how much of their experiences were based on these things being in their environment, that they wanted to shift me away from that. And all these things they had even experienced it at a young age, right? Like I can't say for them personally, but the environments or what age that they did it, but environments that they were in, all these things were around at an early age. And I'm shifting, within my conversation because I'm just saying that as an individual that struggled with that for so long and all these experiences as a kid that I felt that I missed out on, I didn't understand. I've got to be grateful and thankful for where I'm at 28 years old, because the mentality shift, the way I was able to have experiences, the way I was able to push myself, the way I was able to transform my life. Not even saying from a transform of like, I was down bad and then now I'm up. Like, no, it was more so about just being able to develop my mind and be able to develop the person that I am, be able to get out of, I won't even say old ways of thinking, but being able to get away from being put in a box, right? Um, I remember my first time going to college, and I was super excited to get away from my hometown because there was just not much going on. Like even nowadays, going back home, it just be the same stuff. But I remember like I couldn't wait to get to college, and I specifically want to go to the University of Louisville because at the time I'm like, I want to go to a school that's like has diversity, right? And now that I think about it, I'm like, it would have been so dope to go to a HBCU, but you don't know what you don't know, and you're thinking about scholarships, and then also you're thinking about ways to be able to fund that. I'm like, man, there's no way I would be able to fund some of these colleges at the time. And so when I went to college, and I'll also be talking about, my life perspectives and things that I experienced, in further episodes. But I remember going to college and just feeling on my own and feeling so happy whenever we got a chance to do what they called I can't remember the name now, but it was an opportunity to be able to go to campus for a day and be able to experience a college life just for one day. And you got a chance to stay the night, get a chance to meet people and just explore like what it would be before you got to campus. So this was everybody that was going to be going to the University of Louisville. And so during that time, I was like, man, this feels good. Like, hopefully my parents ain't coming back to get me. Like, I'm already ready to be in college. And I just felt that for so long, all the experiences and stuff that I was, looking forward to having and all the thoughts and stuff that I had in my head, it was finally coming, right? It was going to get to a point to where like now I had to find myself out. And after that point, a few weeks later when we came to college for the first time and moved in, and then I was able to go through welcome week where I got a chance to meet a lot of people, my life completely changed. Like completely changed. I mean, you're talking about a kid that didn't know how to talk to women at all, didn't know, you know, how to express himself when it came to feelings and emotions. I didn't know how to let those things out. One thing that I did know how to do very well was make friends and meet a lot of people, right? But this is the younger me, going into it. There's so many life lessons you have to learn. You have to learn, how can I go out here and actually get money? Like how how do I keep myself in shape when there's all types of food around? And reflecting on those times, especially being young all the way up until 28 now, I'm super proud of myself because there's been a lot of things that I've been able to accomplish. And that be, moving to New York City, which is the biggest city in the world. And it's come with its up and downs, especially this year. But overall, being able to accomplish, you know, surviving and living on my expenses, with support of some people around me, right? Like that's been a great thing, being able to finally in college, find that thing inside of me that pushed me to go further and working harder and working out. Like that was something I didn't find before when it came to studying and things at the very, very end. Like I finally learned a lot of these aspects I was missing for so long. And part of it was because I didn't really have the support around me to understand what this looked like. Because I didn't grow up with any siblings, not till later in my life. But when I was going through that period, like I said, I didn't want to ask my parents for all these different perspectives and advice because that's embarrassing as a kid. And so me being able to go through college and learn about these experiences and being able to have these experiences and learn about myself and challenge myself, because throughout my whole life I knew there was something deeper in me. I knew that I had something that was different than a lot of people. I knew that when I stepped into rooms, I knew that when I was a part of groups, when I was a part of, you know, different orgs and things like that where things seemed very, very clicky, I just knew that I was different because the way in which I thought, the way in which I moved, I tried to never move off of ego or never focus on what I had or what I'm doing versus actually loving on and supporting the people. Now, there's times where you got to stand up and you got to really talk your shit and really be like, hey, no, I'm really doing this. But there's a lot of times to where you don't need to, because there's going to be others that are going to be able to speak that for you into existence. You're going to be able to have people that truly embrace who you are and what you do, and they're going to be able to say those things for you without you having to, push it or trying to make people um, be a believer of what you got going on. Like the work and stuff will show. So for myself, I'm super proud of all those times where I felt left out. I got embarrassed. I felt embarrassed, but I didn't have to steer away from being myself. Now, that's not to say there wasn't a few times to where I was trying to, exaggerate on stories where I didn't, um, try to put things into perspective that was way more than it was. Like I definitely did that. And there were times where, I was tried to fit in and be a part of certain crowds to see if that was something that I needed in order to get the type of results that I wanted. But I had to realize for myself that, you know what, Demarcus, at the end of the day, the type of person that you are, it doesn't matter what type of results that you get. Unfortunately, people are going to look at you in a way to where it doesn't matter what you achieve, what type of women you're able to pull, whatever type of money or whatever. You're just going to have some people that just, it ain't going to be enough. And to them, it could be the best thing, but unfortunately, they're not going to be able to give you that credit because of their own ego, because of their own jealousy. And once I was able to realize that and understand that more, and shout out to my father, me being able to have great combos with him over time, and even my mother as well too, having great combos with her, I would say, especially in this phase of my life, it helps to reaffirm like a lot of those things I was experiencing. And it was a growing phase for us as well. Like, I can even say for my parents' relationship, like over these last 10 years, I've been able to truly grow with them. And I've been able to, because of my mindset and because of the individual that I've allowed myself to become, they might not say this to me, but I feel like we've been able to even challenge each other's perspectives. Like, my parents are, 30 plus years older than me, 30, 40 years older than 30 years and some change. But I've also realized that a lot of things that they may have experienced or perspectives that were pushed on them during their times at times aren't necessarily right, aren't necessarily, correct. And so that doesn't mean that everything in today's generation is correct. There's times where the old ways of thinking and the old ways of moving should be pushed in today's generation because of areas that we lack in. But there are a lot of things in today's generation that could actually make a lot of situations easier, or would have been able to make situations easier during their times if only that they would allow themselves to be able to see it from that lens. And so because of my maturity, I've been able to get to a point where I'm able to have an understanding, and my emotional intelligence is at a level to where I can talk to people that are 20, 30 years older than me and actually relate to things that they're talking about. I can actually share my experiences and it relays into similar experiences that they have had. And I've come across a lot of people that are like, man, Demarcus, you are like 10 to 15 years mentally older than you actually are. And I've gotten a lot of compliments from people that are significantly older than me. These are people that are successful, people that are like, maybe getting two things later in their life, and they're like, Demarcus, based on where you're at 28, I wish I was there at 28. I've had people tell me this when I was like 22 years old, 21, 25, 26. I remember I was talking to my guy, Darnell Ferguson, that is the owner of Super Chefs. And he was like, man, Demarcus, he said, if I had your mentality where you were at 26, 27, I was talking to him at the time, he's like, man, stuff would be different for me. My dad would tell me, hey, man, if I had the mentality that you had and where you had, I'll be a lot more focused. I maybe have not been in some situations that I've been in. You know, different people in my life, I had a friend of mine, she told me, hey, Demarcus, if I had the mentality that you had when I go to some of these events and network, I would have been in a higher position in my career way earlier in my life. And we have to be able to take those things in because the great thing about, these folks that I mentioned and other people in my life, they're at beautiful points in their lives, right? These are people that have been able to share information and perspectives based on their lives, but it takes certain people to be able to shed that light on you for what you've done, for us at some points to be able to appreciate it, because it's different when you're talking to people that haven't been doing much. They may only be on social media a lot of times, and they tell you that you're proud of you just out of just saying it. But when people can actually provide examples, it can be two sides: people that may have been doing a lot, people that may have not. It just depends on the way in which people are providing the information to you, or how that they're showing their appreciation for you. And it's always humbling for me because, as someone that has gotten to the mentality that I've been able to achieve, it can be uncomfortable at times because I'm someone that when I was younger, I was so lost, to the point now to where mentally, from an emotional intelligence standpoint, I've been able to pass up a lot of people that were ahead, like way ahead of me when we were younger. But that just means that over time, I had to train my mind. I've had to go through struggles. I've had to go through frustrations to be able to get to this point. And so, as someone that is 28 years old now, I'm super happy for a lot of things I've been able to accomplish, a lot of things I've been able to do. And even at the current period that I'm in right now, I'm going to go ahead and put this out there, but I'm kind of in a tough position, where I'm, in regards to um, being in New York, right? Like, just the way in which the job market and stuff are going, it's very, very tough. But I know that I'm going to be able to get through this particular situation. And it's going to be another hurdle that I'll be able to add to my story and talk about. And I'll talk about this more in my multifaceted journey, but the experience that I previously have had, it's truly helped to shape my mentality on an even broader level. Like, we talk about just like the stuff I've been able to accomplish in this short period of time and what I'm destined for, it's really next level. And I can't wait until I get to my next opportunity. And now I'm at a point to where I'm really excited to create my own opportunities for myself. Whether that be, hey, if I have to move a little bit later, or if I'm able to be blessed and stay in this environment, right? I know for a fact when I get to the point of being able to get to a bag like I want to, it's game over, because that kid that went through so much mentally and all the frustrations and anger and all that, he would be super proud to know where he's at today, right? And he's going to be even more proud to know 10 years from now, when he's able to do the things that were challenging and do the things that other people weren't willing to do. He's going to be even more proud. And so, the point of me saying all that is that I think it's very important for us to realize and say the things that we want to speak into the future. Like, I'll be able to share a few more things, within myself. Like I said, struggles, positives, and all that. But this is also me speaking light into the future, because I know that I'm going to get to where I want to get to one day. I know I'm going to be able to, help a lot more people from back home, be able to help people in my communities, and really be that guy when it comes to giving back and being able to provide resources. I know that I'm going to kill it within my food business, within my clothing, within music, all of that. Like, we're going to make it all work. And I know that one day I'm going to be that accredited investor, the person that's able to invest in these type of companies to be able to help others. But also too, I know that Currently, right now, I'm 28 years old. So all the things I've been doing up until now in 10 years, there's no way I can beat myself down and not be proud of myself because I've accomplished a lot in 10 years. And I'm allowing myself to feel that. I keep saying the word allow because we have to be able to allow ourselves to feel the way that we do. I'm someone that has took time to go through therapy. I'm someone that has taken time to grab a career coach, to be able to go to networking events, to figure things out, to be able to ask questions, been willing to cry in front of people, by sharing certain aspects of my life. Like I've been going through all these things and I realize that a lot of people my age, friends, family that I have, people that are way older than me, they're not willing to take those steps. And I know that I'm taking steps right now. And I may not have the monetary gain that people around me or people, in my particular environments or peers may have. But I know mentally I'm preparing myself for when I get to that point, it's going to be next level because I'm already doing the work that needs to be done. See, money comes and goes, possessions come and go, but your mentality and the way in which you move through life, you only get one opportunity at that. This physical body that we get, we only get one of these. And so to be able to even keep that afloat, what do you have to do? You got to have the right mentality to get yourself up, go to the gym, get the diet right. And all these challenges that I've had in my life and challenges that I'm even having at the moment, my mentality is just getting even more sharper and getting even more firm. And as I've told you all in the previous episodes, living on my own has truly got me to a great point. Now it's figuring out like, okay, what do you do to really put yourself out there and to really rely on you now? Like you have to get up every single day, and if you want to survive, you can't just lay in the bed all day. You can't just go 2 or 3 weeks without working out. Or if you do work out, you can't just rely on some motivation from a roommate or something waking up saying they're going to go to the gym. Like, no, you got to figure that out for yourself. And I'm someone, I can't say it enough. I'm thoroughly proud of myself from where I'm at. If you see my keloid videos on my YouTube, you see my cooking videos and all that, it's been great seeing how I've been able to progress and how I've been able to create platforms. It still messes me up now when I'm posting food videos on Facebook and I got so many food videos and pictures that I can post from me doing years of work. It don't even seem like I had been cooking for 10 plus years. But now when I post stuff on Facebook, I'm like, I never had even dreamt of cooking. Like I never planned to be doing this. I never planned to be someone that bakes. I never planned to be someone that's just create music in the spare time or creating clothes or someone that would be into a tech space where he's able to invest in a tech company. You know what I'm saying? Like that's never been a thought process, but it's because of how we were raised, because of the perspectives that we weren't. I won't say that we weren't able to have, but the perspectives that our people were that weren't really pushed on our people. And so that's why becoming a multifaceted individual, if you're someone like myself where it's not common in your environment, getting to that point to where it is challenging. It sucks ass. Like it's tough because there's a lot of convincing you have to do for yourself. There's convincing early on you try to do for your family and friends, and it's not going to hit the way in which you expect it to because a lot of people are not used to challenging themselves and not being followers. So people's mentalities are just going to be focused mainly on things that they've experienced or what they've been told versus what they envision for themselves. So if you're someone that is struggling with this, listen, I'm on the journey with you. We're going to figure this out together. But one thing I can say is at least start today by trusting and believing in yourself. You may not have the answers every day. There may be a couple days where you don't, but at least allow yourself to feel happy with where you are. And if you don't feel happy with where you are, start today by doing something that can make you happy. Even if it's saying, hey, I want to complete a 30 days worth of a workout, do that. If you've never done that before, try it. Like there's always going to be obstacles and things that we can achieve based on the experiences or opportunities that we get in life, but give yourself the opportunity today to try something new. Hey, I'm doing this podcast right now. Like I've been thinking about for years. Oh, let me do a little podcast. Let me put a few videos on YouTube. And I remember back in like middle school when a friend of mine we were able to do certain aspects of a podcast, right? But I never, even at that time, felt as if my voice and the words and stuff that I had to say, people would really enjoy that. But at the same time, as a 28-year-old man, black man at that, I've got to tell myself that, you know what, your words can. And if you find power in your words, imagine how many other people will, but you got to be able to put it out there and share it. But you also have to be appreciative for who you are and thankful for that person that's getting up each and every day. Because at the end of the day, as I've been saying here a lot lately, you got to appreciate yourself through the process, because once you get that end result, you may not be as happy. There's been times where I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get this gig, and I can't wait to get this money, and I'm like, you know what? I ain't even happy because the process, I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy what I was going through. I was just so focused on the end result. But when you focus on enjoying the process and more so enjoying the person that is going through that process, I guarantee that things are going to be so much sweeter, and you're going to be super appreciative of each and every step that you're taking, even on your down days. Like today, for me recording this, I was like, you know what? The day feel kind of down. Like I'm not really feeling it, but something I've been able to challenge myself and do a lot here lately is I've been able to get myself up even when times seem down, when they seem frustrating. And I find something, whether it's a thought in my head, whether it's a song that plays back memories, I'm able to find motivation in just my life in general. Do I do it every day? No. Is it easy every day? No. But for the days that it counts, it counts. But by not doing anything, then you're letting yourself be a victim and just fall into the BS that you've allowed yourself to follow for so long. So this is episode 5. This was a real long episode, but I hope it puts into perspective for you just certain small aspects of my life, a few things that I dove into, but overall just me getting to the point of feeling thankful and being appreciative of who I am. And there's so much that I want to continue sharing about my life. There's a lot of things about me that even people that a lot of people don't see from the very beginning. Some were a lot of close friends, they don't even understand my mentality, right? But that's why I created the life of a multifaceted, because I know the way in which I think and I operate. Not everybody's going to be able to relate. Not everybody's going to be able to understand, and that's okay, because for the ones of us that do, we're building this community, we're building this platform together. So that's episode 5. I appreciate everyone that will be tuning in, and definitely looking forward to your comments and your feedback. Peace.